Welcome to episode 11 of Public Speaking and Presenting Made Easy. Public Speaking and Presenting Made Easy is an online show and a podcast. It's full of tools, tips, techniques and advice in bite-sized chunks that will help you stand up and speak with confidence every single time. Now, I spent 2 years asking hundreds of people what they found difficult about public speaking and presenting, and this podcast is all about what they told me, and I will show you how to overcome all of those difficulties. If you have fear or anxiety over public speaking, or if you struggle to structure and write your talk, if you want to influence your audience to take action or to decide to buy something, this podcast is for you. Always friendly, always to the point, no waffle, no padding. This is Public Speaking and Presenting Made Easy, episode number 11, Laughter is the Best Medicine. Laughter might be the best medicine, but like all medicines, when taken at the wrong time or in the wrong dose, it can be fatal. And as a speaker, there is nothing more painful than an attempt at humour that goes down like a lead balloon. I remember one painful experience. I shudder just to remember it. I was speaking at a management away day at a large firm. I was there. I was doing some consulting for them. So they asked me to come and do a half-hour slot at their management away day. And the CEO had just spoken. He'd announced that the firm now had an order book of €1 billion, okay, which is amazing for a family business with just a couple of thousand employees. So I was up to speak shortly after CEO. And without really thinking it through, I just kind of ad-libbed this remark at the start of my presentation about the frankly uninspiring goals that the company had set itself. Ouch, right? I mean, my intention, was good. I was trying to be ironic, saying the opposite of what was true for an obvious comedic effect. In truth, the company goals were impressive. Their performance was inspiring, and everyone should be proud of what they'd achieved over the last year. However, in that room on that day, the irony did not work. The CEO thought I was not being funny. In fact, he thought I was criticising him in front of his whole team, and he went red with anger. And then, for the entire rest of the day, every speaker who came after me stood up and started their presentation by saying how glad they were to work at that firm with such inspiring goals. Oh dear. Humour is hard. It's a sharp, two-edged blade. And if used well, it can cut right to the heart of a problem, it can diffuse tension, and it can build rapport. And if you use it wrong, you can injure yourself badly. So here are my top tips for how to use humour in your next presentation or speech. Number 1, always be the fall guy. If you're going to tell a joke, if you're going to tell a story, always ensure that you are the butt of the joke. You can make fun of yourself, but not make fun of other people. So always make sure that you are the fall guy, you are the butt of every joke. Number 2, beware international audiences, because humour does not translate. Humour is closely tied to the culture and the worldview that created it, which means that jokes do not translate well and they do not travel across international boundaries. Let me give an example. This joke always reduces my Spanish father-in-law to tears. Why does the dog bury his bone in the garden? Because he does not have any pockets. Exactly. Not funny, right? Number 3, irony is best avoided. As I discovered at my peril, irony is the hardest humour to use safely. You might get away with calling a new Porsche an old banger, but best not to do it if it's the client's new Porsche, only if it's yours. Now, humour diffuses tension. If you're dealing with an intensive subject, if it's emotionally charged or it's sad, then some humour can effectively diffuse the tension and allow you to move forward and change the emotional tone and energy in the room. I remember I ran a workshop with a bunch of disabled veterans, and many of them used humour as a way to change the mood as they told their story and their journey to recovery. Now, there's truth in the old saying that a great speech will make them laugh and make them cry. But finish with the laughter, right? Not tears. I mean, laughter is amazing. We're able to laugh from about 15 weeks old. And laughter researcher Robert Provine said, laughter is a mechanism that everyone has. Yeah, laughter is part of the universal human vocabulary. There are thousands of languages, hundreds of thousands of dialects, but everyone speaks laughter in pretty much the same way. Yeah, we never noticed that. Yeah, laughter sounds the same in any language. Yeah, babies learn to laugh before they learn to speak. And did you know that children who are born blind and deaf still have the ability to laugh? In fact, and this is amazing, studies have shown that laughter, okay, that's been induced just by watching a silly movie like Marx Brothers, not Karl Marx, not Karl Marx comedies, Marx Brothers comedies, okay. Laughter induced by Marx Brothers movies can produce up to 2 hours of pain-free sleep in patients that got chronic conditions. That's amazing, right? See, laughter releases endorphins which make us feel good. It reduces the production of stress hormones, cortisol and epinephrine. I mean, King Solomon wrote in the book of Proverbs that a joyful heart is good medicine. And in fact, a study published in the year 2000 found that people who suffer from heart disease are 40% less likely to laugh and find humour in their day. Right, I have got a brilliant guest on this week's edition of Public Speaking and Presenting Made Easy. It is the amazing Dave Berman. Now, I met Dave at a online networking event a couple of months ago, and I thought I just need to spend some more time chatting to this man. So Dave is an internationally recognised laughter expert. He's also a coach, consultant, author, and public speaker. And you may have heard of Dave before because he's best known for producing laughter demonstration videos every day for nearly 3.5 years. It just makes me want to laugh when talking about it. He's got a unique blend of laughter and hypnosis, which he calls laughnosis, and is exploring the inside-out understanding of life via laughing on purpose. I'm delighted to welcome to the screen Dave Berman. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Hey, Mark, thank you. I couldn't have written a better introduction myself.
It started already. so, so I'm in Malmesbury in the UK. You're in Australia at the moment. Is that right?
Yes, I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
Wow. So, what's lockdown life been like in Australia?
Well, in the first wave, Australia did very, very well.
Yeah.
And then there was a scandal. Apparently, Australians who were returning to their home country and had to quarantine in hotels, uh, apparently some of the security who were there to look after the premises and those people got intimately involved with some of them. And so that is what led to the second
Oh,
wave,
goodness.
second outbreak here. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, so then there was, some containment at first and it didn't hold and it just got bigger and bigger. And so there was, enough of an outbreak here that we went into a really severe, strict level 4 lockdown, and we've been in it for quite a while. The numbers are finally just now coming down. Some restrictions are just now starting to ease, but we're still locked down. Today's what, September 22nd? I don't know when people will be hearing this or seeing it.
Yeah. So probably a week or so from now, and I think we're just on the verge of starting to go back into some form of lockdown here in the UK. It's crazy. I was chatting to my son the other week. He's 20, just about to go 21. He's at uni. But I said to him, "So you're now living through something that your children will study in school history lessons." I mean, that's just astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I know that my experience, I mean, I'm sure everybody's experience is unique in ways and also similar to others in many ways too. But I've really been reflecting on the ways that my experience has been unique. And I'm really happy to tell you that I've had a great surge of creativity during this time where I've been otherwise alone but connecting with people online. And I've also felt an expansion of sort of my spiritual grounding, and the two are totally one thing, and it's all from laughter.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about that then. So, I guess so. I first encountered you at an online networking event, and there must have been like 80 or 90 people on this Zoom call, and then you just got us all to start laughing spontaneously. I mean, I've never never experienced anything like it in my life. So, what's the kind of the elevator summary of what it is that you do and how it works?
Well, oh, okay, so that's a couple of questions all bundled into one there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right. So help people understand laughter as the sound of joyful breathing. So it's something that we're born with. It's already inside us, and we can choose to allow it out anytime. And when we look within to our breath and sound and bring this intentional inside out orientation to exploring our laughter, it shines our inner light on gifts we've always had but don't always see. So, other birthrights, things that babies and children have on display all the time: spontaneity, authenticity, curiosity, creativity, resilience. If you watch babies and children, they evidence all of these things. And as adults, we just kind of lose track of the fact that we have unlimited access to unlimited amounts of all of these things. And so laughter kind of creates a portal in which we can explore and discover. And it it will absolutely bring a whole new way of looking at life into your experience. And it's also a very healthy form of exercise. It reduces stress. It boosts the immune system, normalizes blood pressure, does a whole lot of other things too. So um, we exercise our mind and body and spirit, and we learn a whole lot about ourselves through laughing on purpose.
Well, okay, that's a great summary. And I think we'll come back to dig into that a little bit more in a couple of minutes, because there's a lot there. But one of the things I really kind of appreciate listening to you talk, just think about public speaking, presenting for a second, is that you've got a unique story, a unique message. You're explaining something that I've never heard anyone else talk about at all. And I've been in around sort of the coaching world for a long time, and the personal development world space for a long time. And so you've got a unique story, you've got a unique message, and you've got a very clear way of describing it so that every man can understand it. It's not academic, but I think I can hear hints of academia behind it. So, have you had some kind of training in sort of in medical or therapy or something like that that's kind of informed your work?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of that. In 2015, I co-wrote a book called Laughter for the Health of It, and now it feels really outdated considering the continued evolution of my professional training and experience. But some of the things that have been part of my background, I have a communication degree from Cornell University. I was a radio announcer for 10 years. This is just sort of setting the stage for being a speaker, among other things. I studied to be a coach and a hypnotherapist. I studied mindfulness, and I've explored this inside out understanding of life that's often referred to as the three principles, which is kind of the name of its origin from Sydney Banks. And more currently, the way that I relate to it often is called subtractive psychology. And so and I should say laughter yoga, which is that's the sort of formal laughter training that I had. But what I'm doing with laughter now has really transcended that, and it's become for me a way of pointing people to this subtractive psychology, this inside out understanding that I think is just so visible on display. Like I was saying about looking to children and babies to just see everything that we're born with. Subtractive psychology, or the inside out understanding, it's an explanation of every experience that any of us have ever had. You can see kind of the fingerprints of these principles on every aspect of life. But you won't see it if you're not looking. You won't see it if you don't understand it. And you won't get it from my words. So you need to go beyond the words. You need to have experience that helps you realize or discover through your own insights what it is that I'm pointing to. And I'm not the first to point to it. I'm saying that I've had training where others have pointed to it for me, and I've gotten it like here, intellectually for a while at first, and then by experience that I had, particularly 2 years living in Vietnam, not speaking the language, wandering around the city, just laughing and playing with the people I spontaneously encountered. This went a long way for me in getting this understanding out of just my head and into my body. And it allowed me to see how laughter can be a way of pointing to this for other people, which is what I'm doing now.
Fascinating, fascinating. So as you're working to kind of grow your business, you need to get the message out there. You're having to educate people to the almost the fact that they've got a need. First of all, that they might not realise there's a problem here that you're able to solve, and then how you can help them through your different your books and your coaching, your training, your seminars, all these kind of different things. So, what role does sort of public speaking play in that, and how have you made that the transition during lockdown to doing a lot more online stuff, or were you already there, given that you're kind of operating globally?
Yeah, I've been almost entirely online for a long time. Speaking gigs, notwithstanding, obviously, I have spoken all around the world as I've traveled, and now sometimes to larger audiences online, but mostly the audiences are smaller, and it's every day, and it's been every day for a long time for me. So it doesn't even feel like public speaking, like I just I don't know. I just hang out with people and we breathe and make sound and then talk about the experience, and people's minds explode and they're different. So that's my life. That's how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you kind of tapped into certainly one of the things that I cover on my courses is if you can get to the point where you realise that public speaking, regardless of the venue or the technology, or whether you're in the room or you're on a Zoom call or something, actually you're having a conversation with people, and to get away from the reading an article that you're reading out an essay that you wrote, right, which is kind of where people often start, and you get to the point where actually you're having a conversation and it sounds like you and you're comfortable being you and you speak the way that you speak, and people feel like they get to know you through the speaking. What would you say is as you were kind of uh, learning to promote your business and do your teaching and training? What's kind of like the one or two most valuable lessons that you learned that helped you grow as a speaker and a presenter?
Let go of planning. Like just show up and trust that I have everything I need already inside me, and it shows up when I need it. And it's not just me. I'm not saying that that's a gift I have and it's unique and special, and because I've got this, I can do this. I'm telling you what I know to be certain about all people, that they don't know about themselves. And so when I show up the way that I show up and I tell them, look, this is true about you too, and you don't have to take my word for it. You have to see it within yourself. So let's look inside by our laughter. We'll just have at it and just laugh for a while, and then we'll talk about it. And it doesn't really matter what observations are made because it's different every time. But the conversations that emerge from these observations about the inner experience of laughter, they will always point back to the unlimited access to these unconditional birthrights, that they're always there. We can access them anytime. We can't laugh at everything, but we can laugh at any time.
Okay, so Dave, one of the things that often uh, I'm talking to people about is when they have nerves and they get stressed about wanting to start public speaking. They're worried about they won't know what they're losing their train of thought, or they won't be able to answer a question and stuff like that. So from your experience and your background in laughter therapy and coaching. What advice would you give to people who are kind of struggling with those assumptions about what might happen, and that's stopping them getting out and sharing their story and promoting their business?
Yeah, I don't. It's well, first of all, you don't need any techniques to deal with this differently. What you need is an understanding that you're
Hmm.
okay, that you're feeling the nature of thought taking form in any and every moment, and that just as you've survived every moment of your life up until now, you'll survive whatever happens when you speak. And in fact, you'll find that you've already got what you need inside you, and it will show up for you when you need it. So, developing this understanding that you can trust yourself in that way, that's that's yeah, that's where the good stuff is at.
Right, because we've all been thinking every day our whole life. We've all been speaking every day for most of our life, bar a year or two. So we know how to do this, and it's just we get in our own heads, don't we?
Yeah.
And
Well, thoughts are inevitable. Believing them is optional. And it's beyond just whether to believe or not believe a particular thought. It's understanding the nature of thought that is so transformative. And I've just found that spending time laughing with people makes it easier to see the nature of thought in our experience. Because, as you said, that's how it's been happening our whole lives. We just don't always recognize it.
yeah, absolutely. Oh well, this has been great, Dave. We've been teasing people a lot, talking about what it is you do. So why didn't you just take a couple of minutes to tell us a little bit about what you do, how people can find you, how you might be able to help them uh, grow in their business and their and what do you do apart from make people laugh and have a great day?
Well, it's never making people laugh. It's an invitation to discover your laugh is already inside you. You have unconditional access to unlimited laughter, and you have unlimited access to unconditional laughter. Unconditional laughter means we're laughing without depending on anything external, not jokes, not comedy, not exercises. We're just recognizing laughter is the sound of joyful breathing. So it's best if I don't tell people about it. It's best if we experience it together. Will you come back on the screen and laugh with me, Mark?
Okay, put on the spot.
Okay, well, uh, yeah, so let's just do a few deep breaths. And with each exhale, just allow the sound ha to come out. And each breath that we do, divide the ha one more time. So the second breath will be two ha's, and then three and four. And each time feel a forceful push from your diaphragm. And before you know it, we'll be laughing. So let's take a deep
Okay.
breath in. Ha.
Ah.
Yeah, it feels great when you add the smile to it as well. Let's do it again with two sounds.
Okay. Ha
Ha,
ha ha.
ha. And three.
Ha
Ha, ha,
ha
ha.
ha.
And four.
Ha ha
Ha,
ha
ha,
ha
ha,
ha.
ha.
This is great radio.
Do it one more time with soft sounds if you can keep track.
Ha
Ha,
ha
ha,
ha
ha, ha,
ha
ha.
ha. Oh, dude, you're mad.
Honestly, this is just like proof of concept. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
this is just a place to start to see this phrase. Laughter is the sound of joyful breathing.
Mm,
Right? And when we
yeah.
start from that premise and we look inside for everything else to do with our laughter, it will help us discover everything else to do with confidence and resilience and inner peace and a playful spirit. It will do away with psychological suffering. Not the laughter itself. The laughter is not a cure, it's not a technique. it's a learning platform as well as an exercise, but it's pointing to something that's already there to be seen, although you won't see it all the time, and that's okay. That's that's the relevance and the importance of developing this understanding. Understanding that sometimes you'll see it and sometimes you won't. You know, if you take away the part of this that's really new for most people about it being unconditional, and you just say, well, you've got a lifetime experience laughing. It's just that most of the time you've laughed because something was funny. But how many times have you missed the joke and not laughed? Or maybe you missed it at first, and then a moment later, what happens when it clicks for you? You just start laughing because the laughter was already there, and then it came out.
Yeah.
So we have a lifetime of history of seeing it and not seeing it. And it's okay not to see it all the time.
Mm. Mm. Oh, that's fantastic, Dave. So if people wanted to connect with you, where do they go? How do they find you if they wanted to find out more, work with you?
Yeah, DaveBermanCoaching.com is definitely the place to connect with me. Um, I'm currently building a new program. It's launched, but it's very new. It's basically a sanity support system, and people have the opportunity to laugh with me on Zoom every day and to access this massive library that I've created. I've made many thousands of hours of videos about laughter in a lot of different contexts. And so I've distilled down about 50 hours to this library that people get access to in the Principles of Laughter program. That's what it's called, the Principles of Laughter. And so we can laugh together, and you can spend your time as you like browsing the library and exploring this inside out understanding of laughter and life.
So, Dave, as we were getting ready for this conversation today, one of the questions I asked you to think about was think of one time when you really learned, you know, a great lesson through public speaking or getting ready for some public speaking. Is there a story that comes to mind? A great thing that you learnt.
Yes, actually, there's two stories because the question you asked me was, maybe it's from a big success or maybe it's from a flop. And so one example of each came to mind that really points to the same lesson. I can remember when I was a brand new coach and my training was primarily in NLP at that point, neuro linguistic programming. I set up a public speaking event at a place called Moonrise Herbs in Arcata, California. And somehow, miraculously, I sold out the room. There's 20 seats. And I think it was because I said I was going to do a demonstration of a phobia relief process. And I got someone to volunteer who had arachnophobia. And I went to a pet store and I got them to let me take a tarantula that I knew this woman was terrified of. And I had to make sure that I could handle whatever emotions I would have. And I handled the tarantula and said, okay, I'm going forward with this. And for, a few days leading up to this event, I kept telling myself, I got to do some preparation. I got to make an outline, this, that, and the other thing. And I kept putting it off. I just like wouldn't do any preparation other than, I had a plan to work with this one volunteer with the spider phobia. And actually, I'd learned how to do the spider phobia in my training, but I'd never done it before. So I was really kind of setting myself up to perform without a net. Live audience, it was being filmed, and I knew later I was going to put it on the public access TV channel in the community. And it went splendidly well, even with no preparation. And the beating myself up that I did, struggling to try to make myself prepare, that was part of the lesson, that I didn't really need to do that. And then like 5.5 years later, I was getting ready to launch a speaking tour of the Eastern U.S. meant to support my departure from the U.S. actually in the beginning of 2017, which did happen. This was called the Help the World Laugh Tour, and the very first event on the tour was in my friend's living room. And we had a bunch of people there, and I thought that it was so important to get people like really spiritedly in support of this mission that I had to help the world laugh. And I'd been making the daily laughter videos at that point every day for it was like 8 or 9 months. I can't remember exactly when this event was. And so I had all these stories to share of the people who had been appearing in my videos, really inspiring and impactful stories about the way laughter had been changing the lives of these people that I'd been making videos with. And I decided to use that living room presentation as my first attempt at PowerPoint. such an informal setting.
Was it projected onto the wall or on the telly, or where was it?
Yeah, where did we project it? I think it must have been on the wall from my computer. And so I'd worked for days on putting together this PowerPoint presentation, like totally forgetting. Yeah, I probably forgot to tell you the most valuable thing about the workshop at Moonrise Herbs. Over time, I think 16 or 17 out of the 20 people who attended became clients, not to mention the ones who became clients because of watching that video on television. And I just somehow completely disregarded that, 6 years later, and I'm in my friend's living room and I've got to show people who I'm talking about, the still images of my guests from my videos and like little fact sheets about where they're from and, the highlights of their story. I spent all this time preparing to do this presentation, and then I was of course so in my head and so like having to look up at what was being projected, who am I talking about next, and it took me so out of the moment, and it did not go well, and I did not make any money from that event that was meant to be a fundraiser. And of course it got easier when I took off and I did the tour, and then I did wind up leaving the US. And I just think of that story, though, as really teaching me the same lesson that the big success story taught me. They both said what I don't question at all anymore. It's just show up and trust that I've got everything I need already inside, and I'll get what I need when I need it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a valuable lesson. As a speaker, you need to be yourself and not pretend to be someone else or copy what you've seen someone else doing and thinking, oh, if I do it the right way, if I copy this person, if I do it like that, and all these assumptions and these burdens we put upon ourselves, which they end up doing is, like you said, get in your own head and they get in the way. People come to see you, not you pretending to be someone else. So be honest.
Yeah, one of my teachers is a guy named Jamie Smart, and he's got a great saying that when you've got nothing on your mind, you're free to give your best. So all that preparation is too much on the mind. Just go and show up and be, and trust that you've got what you need.
Excellent. When you've got nothing on your mind, you're free to give your best. Excellent. Yeah. I'll buy that T-shirt. And on that bombshell, we'll say, Dave Berman, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Mark.
Well, this has been Public Speaking Presenting Made Easy. I'm Mark Faithful from the Malmesbury Speakers Academy. Just search Malmesbury Speakers on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. You'll find me there. Leave a comment, ask any questions you have, and let me know what topics you'd like to see me cover in a future episode. Until next time, bye for now.